Hello, this is Brian. Today is Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, and I'm here at Lake Hodges in San Diego. It's time for a Trees of San Diego episode. Today's episode focuses on yet one of many species of eucalyptus. Today's episode being on Red Ironbark, and this is Eucalyptus sideroxylon. In Australia, to where this tree is native, known as mugga mugga. That's one of the Australian, I believe, Aboriginal names for this tree. I'm gonna put in on the screen specifically where in Australia this tree is native, but it is a very commonly planted ornamental here in San Diego County. And there are a lot of reasons why this tree is so common. Being a eucalyptus, it is a tree imported from Australia. I believe more for aesthetic purposes, but a lot of species of eucalyptus trees were brought over from Australia for their fast growth, and their fast growth leading to trees maturing a lot sooner so they can harvest the wood for railroad ties and other items. Here's the rub though. The wood did not prove to be very useful. It warped, it broke and split. So unfortunately, all the plantations of trees that were not cut were just left. Now, eucalyptus trees are very attractive trees, and we do have a lot of ornamental specimens that are planted here as well, because a lot of species of eucalyptus are amenable to our climate, which runs the gamut from nearly desert to Mediterranean. And a lot of these trees are very adaptable to different areas. So red ironbark, Eucalyptus sideroxylon, is called that because of this here. There's kind of a reddish tinge between the furrows of the bark. So that's where red ironbark comes from. I believe that's what the name sideroxylon alludes to as well. So what we have is generally a medium-sized tree, up to maybe about 60, sometimes maybe 70 feet tall. Pretty drought-tolerant species, because I've seen it planted in areas that don't receive any irrigation. This being one area right here. And this tree here is one of the more ornamental species planted here in Southern California. And it's more of a low elevation. It does have a little bit of a frost, maybe light freeze tolerance, maybe up into the upper 20s, maybe upper 20s. It's not extremely hard freeze tolerant, I don't believe, but it does have some frost tolerance, and that's why it does well in some of our inland foothill communities. And so what we have here is, being a eucalyptus tree, a lot of eucalyptus trees have two different sets of foliage: juvenile foliage and adult foliage. So a lot of eucalypts have juvenile and adult foliage. So and of course there's an intermediate stage between the two. So the stereotypical red ironbark leaf would be the adult leaf. And the adult leaves are sickle-shaped. Narrow, lanceolate, but slightly curved. So you can see here, this is the adult foliage of Eucalyptus sideroxylon right here, swaying in the breeze. Anywhere from about 3 to 7 inches long, usually in between that. Kind of a grayish green color, And again, sickle-shaped. They're narrow and lanceolate, but you can see they kind of curve a little bit, kind of like a scythe or a sickle. They're sickle-shaped. And it's pretty typical for, or should I say pretty stereotypical for the eucalyptus. And here's the leaves on the ground. Here's the adult leaves of the Eucalyptus sideroxylon. So what do I mean by adult leaves versus juvenile leaves and intermediate leaves? Well, juvenile leaves, a lot of species of plants actually have different leaf forms based on the age of either the plant or the individual branch or shoot where the leaves are. Eucalyptus sideroxylon is no different. You see here, we have the adult leaves again, the adult sickle-shaped leaves. But then if you look here on these younger branches, you'll notice the leaves are slightly different. They're a little wider. They're a little shorter in length, but a little wider in profile. These are what the juvenile leaves look like on younger sprouts. You notice this is a younger branch. Younger sprout, juvenile foliage, as you see here. And then the intermediate stage, when the branch is starting to get older, or the plant's getting older, the leaves will become more intermediate. As you see here, it's starting to get narrow. That's pretty common to a lot of species of eucalyptus. Now, you might hear another term thrown around, eucalypt. Now, eucalyptus is a genus of trees. It's a group of trees that are eucalypts. So I'm talking eucalyptus versus eucalypt. So the term eucalypt is a little bit more of an umbrella term for closely related genera of trees. So eucalyptus, these eucalyptus trees are a eucalypt, a type of eucalypt. But then we also have a couple of other genera also included under the broader umbrella term eucalypt. You also have trees in the genus Corymbia, the bloodwoods, like lemon-scented gum, spotted gum, and quite a few other species. And the genus Corymbia was split off from Eucalyptus a couple decades ago. And then you also have the genus Corymbia being a full new genus now. And then there's another genus called Angophora. Angophoras are trees often called apples, even though they don't bear edible fruit. But they are also closely related to Eucalyptus and Corymbia and are included in the group of eucalypts. Here's where the difference comes. So this is a little background information on eucalyptus trees before I go more specific. So sometimes you'll hear the term eucalyptus and then you'll hear the term eucalypt. So with the eucalypts, the flower buds are covered on two of the genera. And that's the term eucalypt is fully covered. Eucalyptus. Because the eucalyptus trees and Corymbia trees have little bud caps on their flower buds called opercula. And then the bud cap falls off and then the flower opens and you get the bloom of the eucalyptus. Now, Eucalyptus and Corymbia are the two genera that do not have flower petals. They don't form flower petals. All you see are just a bunch of stamens puffing out like a little powder puff. Now, I also mentioned Angophora is also grouped under eucalypts. However, this is where the difference lies. Angophoras do not form opercula. They don't form bud caps. and they have small petals that are hidden with all the stamens sticking out of the flowers. So, however, they are closely enough related to be included with the eucalypts. Go ahead and take a couple of pictures of Eucalyptus sideroxylon. And I'm going to start talking more about this tree in particular. So, Red Ironbark, aka Mugga Mugga, we talked about the dark bark. We talked about the dark bark, little hints of reddish in there. But you notice these trees are very resinous. A lot of eucalyptus trees are very resinous. See these little speckles here are from resinous exudate. I believe they call it kino. So that's why you'll see sometimes a little bit of a sheen on some of the frozen bark. Because these trees are very resinous. See here, right here, this is some of the exudate from the bark. These trees being resinous, they also have a wonderful fragrance, very strong fragrance. So yes, see here, some of this bark is very deeply furrowed, and you get a nice little kino exudate. So, talk about the leaf shapes. So let's go talk about the flowers and the fruit of the Eucalyptus sideroxylon. So, Eucalyptus sideroxylon is a very common ornamental tree here in San Diego and in lowland, coastal, foothill, Southern California, all the way up, I believe, to past the Bay Area. So these ones here, you could kind of look up into the crown of the tree. You can see little puffs of creamish white. Those are the flowers of Eucalyptus sideroxylon. See, those are flower clusters right there. They form these kind of umbel-like clusters. So let me get down here to show you kind of what they look like up close. I can see some flowers on the ground. So this is what a Eucalyptus sideroxylon flower looks like. Again, it's a eucalyptus, so it's not going to have any petals. So that's what a Eucalyptus sideroxylon flower looks like right there. You can see this bottom piece here where the ovary is, where it's going to become the fruit, and I'm going to talk about the fruit in a minute. But you can see it's a big powder puff of stamens, and they're in these really tightly knit clusters. And you can kind of see where the pistil is in there, but you can see all the staminate parts of the flowers right here. So that's the flower of Eucalyptus sideroxylon. Now, keep in mind, this is the regular species, because you might drive through San Diego, Anaheim, you might drive through Los Angeles, and you're going to be looking at these same trees with the same really dark, deeply furrowed bark, but they're going to have these rosy red flowers all over them. That's a horticultural variety. That's a cultivar called Rosacea. Rosacea or Rosea. That is the cultivar that you're going to see most commonly planted as an ornamental here in Southern California. This is the straight species here. The straight species has whitish, creamish colored flowers. But the horticultural Rosea or Rosacea, that one is going to have the more ornamental pinkish flowers. So now, when Eucalyptus sideroxylon flowers get fertilized, they become the fruits. And here they are. They're going to be these seed capsules, often called gum nuts. Right there. So the flowers are in these clusters, and then they turn into these seed capsules in these clusters that are usually drooping on the branches of the tree. So you can see here they're kind of cup-shaped, and in the middle it's kind of sunken in with usually about 6 valves where the seed capsule opens and the seeds spill out. The really tiny, really brown flecks are generally the aborted seeds, and then the seeds that have a little more weight to them, that are a little darker, will typically be your more viable seeds, in case you're considering trying to grow this from seed. So these are seed capsules, and like I said, you can look in the center there. Now, some eucalyptus trees, their seed capsules are sunken in at the top, where the valves are to open up to release the seeds. Eucalyptus sideroxylon is one of those. So yes, these are the seed capsules. And then I'm going to go ahead and take a couple more pictures, and we'll go ahead and finish this out. Alright, I think I can get kind of close to some actual flowers right now. Perfect. Let me see if I can. Yeah, it's just out of my reach. There we go. Right in the leaves there. Those are some of the flowers that are small flower clusters. Right here on Eucalyptus sideroxylon. Very beautiful. Very beautiful flowers. So, one thing about Eucalyptus sideroxylon is it's very graceful form, very graceful weeping form. This one here seems to have the purple flowers on it. So this one seems to be the rosaceous one. This one's starting to get purple flowers in it. So this one is the horticultural variant. Right here. Zoom up a little bit. Maybe you can see some of the purple flowers. Yes, there they are. Those are the purple flowers. Right there. Sometimes these trees have got branches so high up it's hard to get a good view of them. But yeah, you can see the purple flowers in this one. This is the rosaceous horticultural variant right here. It's this tree right here, in fact. So, a couple of notes. Eucalyptus trees tend to have weak branches. We kind of established that their wood was pretty weak when we were talking about the fact that they were used for railroad ties and they didn't do well. They split, they warped, they rotted. So that's not a surprise that their branches may not be the strongest. So if you do plant eucalyptus, try to plant it far enough away from your house for where you won't have any damage, because eucalyptus trees are prone to have branches fail without warning and be knocked over in windstorms, which is kind of sad because these are graceful, beautiful trees, very fragrant, they smell really good, and each species has its own unique fragrance. But yeah, you can see the kind of willowy texture of the branches of this eucalyptus. A beautiful tree right here. Eucalyptus sideroxylon here at Lake Hodges. Check out Eucalyptus sideroxylon near you. One last look at these trees. And this one's another rosaceous flowering one too. This one's got pinkish flowers as well. Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Trees of San Diego. Thanks for watching. See you on the next episode.